So we can spend a lot of time and put a lot of effort into trying to find something that's going to make everything okay. This can be the motivation. In fact, for me, it was the motivation, always the motivation for years and years, into doing all these kind of different practices like meditation and all that kind of stuff. And the idea is that at some point there's going to be this incredible experience that's going to change everything and make everything okay. And while I definitely had some incredible experiences, the thing that eventually made everything okay was this realization that the problem was always my rejection of what was here. And in fact, that looking for something different than what's here was actually a huge, huge part of the problem. And that really what's required is this willingness to say a very big yes to what's here. And to recognize that everything that I needed only required that ability to accept and appreciate what's here. And that anything I ever did to negate or push away or avoid what's here, that was the source of my suffering. That is what was meant by craving. This pushing away of what's here, this desire to somehow avoid or escape what's here. All that's needed to start experiencing life with this sense of complete peace and intimacy and wonder. It's all dependent on this ability to say yes to what's here right now. And the more we can say yes to what's here right now, the more we experience that peace, wonder, and intimacy. And this may sound incredibly simplistic, but this is at a very, I've been doing this kind of stuff for decades, and this is the most important thing I've discovered. That after all of that effort, all that matters is now and how I'm relating to now. And nothing else has brought any peace, nothing else has brought any intimacy, and nothing else has brought any wonder. It's always been this ability to engage with now. So when we're engaging with now, the only real rule is that if it's not here, it's not going to be relevant to our ability to experience this sense of well-being. But in the beginning, it makes sense that there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's a lot of sensations in our body. There's a lot of things that may catch our eye in our surroundings. So in the beginning, we may find it easier to focus on, say, pleasant sensations in the body. And what I've discovered as I've worked more with the body is that there's always pleasant sensations somewhere. And just focusing on those sensations can be a great way to really enliven this moment and really make this moment more easier to appreciate in the beginning. Later on, what we're focusing on doesn't matter so much, but I suppose it's like building we have to get used to this, to finding our peace, what's here right now. So we can use our attention to focus on the things in our environment that are most pleasant to us or most easiest to us. That can be a way to begin this, but keep in mind that it's this ability to say yes to the whole of what's happening right now that's important. But remember, so much of how we're experiencing right now is just a matter of interpretation. And often the problem is our interpretation. most of the time our problem is interpretation, that we're somehow interpreting right now in a negative way. So we have to be willing to let go of everything we think we know about right now and to meet it as if it were brand new, spanking new. And this is where wonder comes in. Because the more we're able to do that, the more we're able to let go of our ideas about what's happening now, the more it becomes this strange and unusual thing. And it can start to this can be very hard to accept, and this surprised me so much, that the way I was experiencing things was very, very much governed by a kind of rigidity in the way I was looking at them. And that the more I was able to go into that state of not knowing, the more dreamlike everything became, the more kind of hallucinogenic everything became. And for me, it became so much more interesting. And what I also realized, that the more the less my sense of me polluted what was here. So when I started to get rid of that pollution of this constant putting my ideas onto things and my views onto things and my opinions about what's here, the less I did that, the more the sense of intimacy with what's here grew. Because of course those ideas of me, mine, I, and what I think and what I know, the more that's there, that's what's creating the barrier between me and everything else. So the more that's let go of, the more intimacy there is with our surroundings, until there is no barrier between the surroundings. There is just the surroundings, and this kind of realization that there only ever has been the surroundings, that this idea of Paul that's separate from everything else is just a fiction. It's just a fiction created by the mind, and all that's happening here is life. So, as I say, all that's required is to come to this moment with this sense of a big yes, to put all of our eggs into this moment. If we look after this moment, the future moments will take care of themselves. If we're and it's what I've found as well, is like the more we're able to appreciate here, it's very energizing. As well as making life so much more interesting, it's also very energizing. So as I say, even doing that now and again will be incredibly helpful, I think, for people. But if you can start to make it more of a part of your life, it has an even greater impact. Until one day it doesn't require any effort, because the reward of this is so huge, and it deepens and deepens over time, that it becomes, we're just drawn to it. Until, as I say, it eventually just becomes our home. So I just thought I'd share that with you today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.